Welcome back,
to
another episode of Two Dimes and a Token. I am one of your hosts, Bruck Nasty, along with Mr. Con Yeezy.
You know what time it is.
There you go. Unfortunately, our Token, once again, cannot join us for this one, but he will be back soon.
Yes.
So, two things on the docket before we dive into the episode. Number one, Father's Day apparel is out in the merch store. If you haven't heard, we are diving into our June initiative where we are going to donate 100% of the profit from our merch stores to the Tampa Bay Heart Walk. So we're super excited about this. We're hoping to get a really, really big turnout. So guys, go into the merch store, right? Get your Father's Day apparel. Get your shirts, right? Get your 2 Dimes and a Token shirts. Get your hats. We got everything in there. We got some new stuff coming out. We're gonna have some souvenir cups that are gonna be coming out soon. So be sure to go in there and get it. And like I said, we're doing it for a good cause. We're not trying to put money in our pockets, right? We're trying to make sure we take care of the people around us. So that's number one. Number two, right? Where we have introduced. There was two things that we had. Second, oh yeah, how could I possibly forget?
I don't know.
Go subscribe to the podcast.
Yes.
Help the team out, man.
Yeah.
Be there for the fellas, right? Be there for us. We love you. Just love us back, just a little bit.
Just a little people.
All right, just a little bit. It's all about the little people out there. You know what I'm saying? Go to YouTube, go to Spotify, go to Apple, hit the subscribe button, right? And then make sure you guys leave comments. Our big initiative we have as well was the Spice of the Week. We want this to become a big thing, don't we?
Yes, all day long. You should be working on, focusing on what makes the week, better.
Better, exactly.
Everyone's always, a Debbie Downer. But
yes, everybody has those moments.
Everybody has a reason to be down.
That's what I'm saying.
But look for the reason to, be happy.
Look at the other side of the pendulum. Let's look at our reasons to enjoy our week. Let's look at the things that uplift us a little bit and then share it with us, right?
Yes.
Let us know. We want to get big comment sections in every single one of these podcasts, right?
Gotcha.
The reason why is we want to have the conversation with everybody. We want to bring everybody to be a part of 2 Dimes and a Token, right?
I will chime in and say, I hope you guys are tuning in and feel like you're part of the conversation. Like you are just sitting at a coffee table or at a dinner table, and we're just having that conversation with you. And you're amongst us. And
we want you to throw your opinions into the comment box. That's how we know. Because all it takes is one comment, and that sparks a whole nother podcast.
It's a whole nother conversation.
And then maybe we can bring you on to the podcast and we can have that conversation. Yes. That's what we're looking for.
That's all it is.
Exactly.
Hey, it's just speak up.
Exactly.
That's all we actually
need to do. That's it. And then make sure you go subscribe. So, without further ado, we have our special guests are Miss Alyssa and Mr. Jeffrey.
Yes.
I want
to say Mr. and Mrs. Jeffrey.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Jeffrey. When you guys are tuning into this episode on the premiere day, the following day, they're actually getting married.
Yes.
Which is amazing. So congrats to them. Yes, absolutely. So, but these two, we thought it would be an interesting thing to hear their stories about. They work in the medical field during the entire episode of the pandemic of COVID. And Alyssa was actually a new grad, and that was the first thing she was thrust into. Yeah. So we asked her to tell some stories about what it was like working in the medical field during that time, how crazy everything was. And obviously everybody knows how the world was at that point. Everybody has their own story, so between quarantine, between people with they were working in hospitals where they were just completely overfilled. There were patients in hallways. Like, everybody heard these stories, and we thought it would be kind of cool to hear firsthand from someone who was there living it.
Yeah.
So
Boots on the floor.
Yes, exactly. And so we brought them in. Not a long one, probably about an hour, but really interesting. Some very unique perspectives kind of get us out of our own realm. So when we go into a hospital, we kind of know, maybe it kind of taught me a little bit like, hey, maybe we should be a little bit more patient.
Yeah.
These people are dealing with the fatalities on a daily basis and massive stresses that us who are not in the medical field, we have no idea. Mm-hmm. We could be getting frustrated because we had to wait 30 to 45 minutes in the ER room, right? Because something that's happened and we're not sure. But then the nurse that you're dealing with could have experienced 2 patients that passed away that day.
Yeah.
And it really kind of opens up your mind to being like, damn. You know what I mean?
They're going through it as well.
Exactly. So, again, very interesting story for you coming up right now. So, without further ado, again, go subscribe, go comment, check out the merch stuff. Enjoy the episode with Mr. and Mrs. Jeffrey. Thanks for coming on, guys. It
Yeah.
was great. We were actually pretty excited to have this one because you guys' life experiences are pretty eccentric. So, what do we have though? We have our drink of the podcast. Is our generic Coca-Cola original taste.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh.
Everybody got that.
Get that.
Nice.
Yes.
Sizzle.
And that is the drink of the pod is
your mouth
unofficially.
So happy.
It's unofficially sponsored by Terramana Tequila. So in other words, not yet,
Not yet.
but one day
One day.
we will be. Awesome. So cheers.
Oh,
Cheers, yeah.
shit. Oh,
Cheers
I wasn't
it up.
prepared.
Cheers.
Coca-Cola.
Cheers.
It ain't gonna last that long over here.
Yes. So, dude. Oh man, we were actually, because obviously we had talked about bringing you guys on before,
Yeah.
and then talking about your life experiences. This is going to be great.
So,
So we just spent an hour talking about your favorite person too. But we'll shift, right? So go ahead and tell everybody what you guys do.
oh, me first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ladies first.
So I am a registered nurse. Fun stuff. My experience lies in I started as a new grad in medical ICU, surgical ICU, CV ICU. So I stopped doing that almost 2 years now. I work in the pediatric emergency room or bedside for about 2 years. And now I'm getting ready to transition into risk management. So work from home type
Wow.
stuff. So
That's
stoked
very
about
cool.
that, but lots of experience there.
Are you gonna miss nursing?
Am I going to miss nursing?
Yes.
Well, I am
Well,
staying
still nursing, but not
PRN.
bedside, right?
So correct. So
Yeah.
It's people. It's one. I mean, it's the difference when you're interacting with people each and every day, physically interacting with people every day, and then working from home and not seeing.
Yeah.
well, I haven't started the job yet, so we'll see, if I like it. I mean, it is going to be different because all I've ever known is the hospital and like working bedside.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a change for sure.
Yeah. So what do you got? By the way, these two, as a matter of fact, when this releases, you guys are getting married tomorrow.
Yeah.
Damn.
When this thing's releasing.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Nice job, guys. So let's
yeah.
get it. Yes, round of
Clap it up.
applause. So, Jeffrey,
Stoked.
tell us what you do, bud.
Oh, it's not as long as hers. I am a X-ray tech and a CT tech for 5 years now.
Yeah. What do you do on a normal basis? Like, what's your daily, or what's your actual function on the X-rays and the CT?
Just lining up patients, tell them not to move,
Tell 'em
pressing
not to
a button.
move.
Oh,
Press the button.
he loves coming over to our side and doing the
the
babies. That's actually how we rekindled because we worked a trauma together.
Really?
This man almost dropped my baby.
I didn't drop no kid.
No, he didn't.
I didn't drop no kid. No.
But it
He
was a
throwing up, had to
trauma.
keep him away.
Yeah.
He was not throwing up. You just didn't want to hold him close to you.
Sounds like you were like, hey, I'm allergic a little bit.
He's
Little
he's
bit.
a little gross.
Oh my god.
I was like, damn, that man's cute, but damn, don't drop my baby.
That's wild, dude. That's hilarious. So
Yeah.
No kids were harmed.
Listen, before we get into their story, how did you guys meet?
the first time.
The first time.
First time.
Yeah.
How did we meet, babe?
What do you mean, like way back in the day?
I mean,
way back in the day?
Yes, there you go.
so we've
For
actually
sure.
known
Oh,
each
yeah,
other.
Hey, don't be afraid
Sorry,
to move that
I'm
thing
new
if
to
you
this.
have to. You know what I'm
So
saying?
we've actually known each other. He is my cousin's best friend. He lived across the street from my cousin. So I literally have known him all my life. Literally all
At
my
least
life.
15 years.
But there's a 4-year age difference. So he was never on my radar. And
Cougar.
Yeah,
Cougar.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm 20, she's 24. It's crazy.
nah.
Listen, she robbed the cradle, bro.
Yeah.
We all saw it coming.
No, I will be 25 in a few days. So
Yeah.
do that math.
There you go.
And the insurance go down a little bit.
Fantastic. Yeah, the way you guys met
Not
the
much.
second time, though, I heard you guys were playing pool. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was
you were
like
playing
a
the
blind
classic
date.
billiards.
It was a blind date. Neither one of us were interested in a relationship. We both were like, absolutely not. But his sister called him and was like, hey, you need to come down here. And
I was sick as a dog that night, too.
Yeah, he was. And I thought he was so
Tired.
smooth and chill.
I thought he was so smooth.
Just tired as can
Turns out he's
be.
just sick and
Turns out he
tired.
was sick as hell.
I've been working at the hospital for 10 straight days.
No, he literally showed up in scrubs, and I was like, damn.
Wow.
That's a man. That's a working man.
Man in uniform.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
in uniform.
Man in the uniform.
That's great.
Listen.
I wear scrubs for no reason.
Remember, guys, we gotta keep it PG on this podcast, right?
Yeah,
Keep that shit on the
definitely.
low.
I'm trying to think. It's figs.
Besides, yeah,
I got a pair of figs.
I've seen Jeffrey
Figs?
walk away.
You know what I'm talking about.
I've been impressed. You know, like
Hey, he was a
when I
football
first
player.
saw it, I was like, I see what she sees. You know, I'm not as enthralled about it, but I do see it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, congrats to Jeffrey, number one.
Hunky man.
And then, congrats to Alyssa too.
Hell yeah.
It's called winning. It's called
Yes.
winning. It's called winning.
One thing we kind of wanted to do, which is why we were excited to have you on, and like we talked about, we really want to get your experiences because I think, especially over the last 3 years, your guys' industry has taken a beating as far as like workforce, as far as like things that you've had to deal with. You've had so many different things thrown at you, right?
100%.
From the moment COVID happened, right? What was it? What was a day in the life like working through COVID?
You can start.
I took the first x-ray of a positive COVID patient where I was working at, so
Really?
everybody was freaking out. Nobody knew what to do. Yeah. It's like radioactive, but
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it was worse at the beginning,
Yeah.
patient-wise and work-wise. But, I mean, as it's gone along, it's kind of petered out a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as bad, obviously, as it was.
Yeah, so I started my nursing career at the peak of COVID. So my last semester in nursing school transitioned to completely online because we weren't even allowed to see each other
Wow.
or any of that stuff. So literally, we weren't even allowed to practice our skills on actual people or in the lab either. We had to do it virtually online.
Really?
So it was like placing IVs virtually is not the same as
Yeah.
as in real life, or like inserting a Foley virtually is not the same in real life. So when I started my career, like I was super nervous, but I did start as a CNA or a tech when I was 18 years old in the hospital.
Yeah.
So I had a few years experience. Thank God I did, because I would have felt like a fish out of water for sure.
Yeah.
Especially starting in like a specialty as ICU.
So explain that to me. I think some people, because that's another reason we want to get a little bit more education on
Yeah.
your guys' field, right? So you said specialty. What does that involve?
So there's lots of different like aspects of nursing. As far as a hospital setting, you have something called medical med surge or medical surgery kind of. And that's like a basic medical unit. Specialties is where people go for like, so mostly like your acuity is lower. So in ICU, these patients are more intense. You're working with drips. As far as like keeping these patients have a tube down their throat to help them breathe.
Yeah.
So you're working with that, and the drips that we use, the medicine that we use keeps their heart beating, keeps them sedated in order to handle, because it's like, I couldn't even imagine being awake with a tube down your throat.
Yeah, that
like
would
breathing.
suck.
It would feel like you're constantly like being choked like that.
Yeah.
Not good. So yeah, there's different specialties like pediatric emergency room. I do that now, or did do that. That's also a specialty. You have like pediatric ICU. So there's like different specialties as far as like it makes you advance your career a little bit, like very specific to
Yeah.
like different.
That's crazy,
sides.
dude. So going back, like, so when you first, all of a sudden you hit that first day.
Yeah.
And you're like, the world is kind of erupting around everything, especially because you have half the population of where we are.
Yeah, dude.
Right. And we won't mention where. No location names.
Right.
Remember that. But basically half the population of Polk County is rushing in to you, and
Right.
it's day one, and
Yeah.
you're like, What are you thinking in that moment? Like,
So for me, definitely the scariest thing. So first off, I was a new grad. So being a new graduate nurse anywhere, you're already learning how to just survive. Like what medicine is what, how do I have this routine of when do I need to pass meds, just figuring out your routine of how to be a nurse in general. So I had to take care of these very sick patients and learn how to do CPR very quickly, learn how to work a code very quickly, like giving them these life-saving medications. We had to be able to throw in IVs like at the drop of a hat, because without that IV, you can't have that medicine that helps their heart restart. So yeah, dude, it was gnarly, like getting in there and trying to, keep these patients alive when they're like, COVID hit so hard. Like the COVID patients, we were in fear for them because at some point, once you prone them, so that's what they started to do for these COVID patients at the very beginning, because we didn't know what else to do. When they were maxed out on pressors, when they were maxed out on sedation, at that point, it's like there's nothing else we could do. So we would turn them from their back to their bellies to give their lungs a break, because COVID was affecting their lungs so poorly. And some patients we would see, but once they were prone, it was like, man, like that was kind of it for them. Like we kind of knew that those patients were going to be gone.
Yeah.
So
did the functions of your job change? Because you'd already been in the role for a while, right?
About 2 years at the time. Yeah. It changed, like, being more cautious around patients, because before that I didn't wear a mask for anything. Flu, anything. I hardly ever got sick either.
Yeah.
So, like I said, when that first COVID patient hit, though, it was like everybody was in hazmat suits.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but I don't have as much patient contact as, say, a nurse does. My job consists, I scan you, max are in the room, doing like an x-ray, like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not with them all day like how she was doing.
If they have a problem with the IV, they just ding ding ding. Hey nurse, you need to come fix this IV.
Yeah, like in CAT scan, yeah, but in X-ray we don't really use that. So X-ray, and especially whenever it was COVID time, it was mainly just chest X-rays. 2 shots and we got them out of the room. So I was not around them as long.
Right.
What did your hours look like though? Did you because from what I understand, the shift that you have in a medical environment, very different from like a 9 to 5, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, where I was at the time, it was a clinic. So we actually we saw a decrease in patients because people were afraid to come in for just like the little things, like just like a cut or just anything else except for COVID. So we actually decreased hours. I lost hours.
Really?
Working at a clinic, yes.
Wow.
I lost money, lost hours, but the hospital obviously.
Versus us, we were working crazy overtime. And
really?
Yeah, as a new grad, like just getting started, they were offering us like really good incentives to come in beyond just working our 3 scheduled days. So there were some times where I was working 5 or 6 12s in a row and I was exhausted. Like that I think burnt me out very quickly of the ICU life.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude.
My God.
It messes with you seeing, what's that, 12 times?
That's 72 hours.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. And I would come home and absolutely crash. And nurses have what we call dead days.
Yeah.
So like after we work 3 or 4 in a row, when we get done with our set, the next day you can't do anything. Like so today is my dead day. Yeah. So we literally there's so much we needed to get done today, but we just chilled at the house because it's my dead day.
That's wild, man. So what would you say was could you recall the toughest day each one of you had during that time frame? Specifically?
Probably once I started working at the hospital in CAT scan, because obviously they got a little bit more, drastic. People came in, all tubed up and just, at the end of their life, essentially. And just last ditch effort, do a little CT of them, making sure they don't have a PE, because that's the main thing that was happening with COVID, was giving people pulmonary embolisms.
Yeah.
So that was the main thing that we tested for on COVID patients. And
holy shit, dude.
That's probably the worst. That was, like I said earlier, that's the first probably 6 months to a year was when the patients were bad. You saw it in their lungs. You could take a chest X-ray of them and be they're all jacked up.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh yeah.
Basically, you kind of look at it and you're like, yeah, you're not
you're
gonna
like,
make
man, I don't want to get this crap.
Yeah. God,
100%.
that's wild.
But when I did get it, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even have a cough. So I mean, I don't know. It's weird.
It affected people differently. from
Very
what I
much so.
heard, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So my worst day. So as an ICU nurse, you have 2 patients to 1 nurse, typically. Like that is normally how it is. Every now and then you would get 3. You know, that was a rough day, or 4 if staffing was rough. But typically most of the time you had 2 patients for every nurse. So I came in, we did shift change at 6:30. I got my 2 patients. I knew that they were both like struggling, especially with the amount of like pressors they were on. And I literally had the patient, I had them code and die. And then I turned right around and my other patient coded and died. They gave me 2 more new set of patients, right? And this is like probably noon at this point. So I get a full new set of 2 more patients, which is already a lot for an ICU nurse because you have to like get the room ready. When they come from the emergency room, they're like, all messed up and getting the lines. I shit you not, both of these patients coded and died again.
Oh my God.
So I had 4 patients die on me. I think at this point it was like the evening and they were getting ready to give me 2 more. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done, guys.
Wow.
What do you do when you have like that? You just clock out? Is there?
No, I mean, mentally as a nurse, you learn to not think about it. So you don't have time to process your own emotions. As much as I wanted to go to the bathroom and cry, especially as a new grad, like I was a brand new nurse and I was like, this is what I'm going to have for the rest of my career.
Yeah.
No, you don't have time to process that. All you're thinking is like facts and figures. You're like, so after you get done with the code, you there's so much documentation that has to be done, and these ER nurses are so quick to like bring up their patients, and I mean I get it now that I work in the emergency room. I understand, like the acuity is just so high. But no, I had a couple other people help me. Like my preceptor came over and helped me for my next set of patients, but I had to get them all ready to go for the night shift coming on.
What is you said acuity?
Yeah.
What is that?
So acuity is as far as like how many patients we have within the unit. So in the emergency room during COVID at that time for us, because it was like height of COVID. Now, when it first started, people were scared to come into the hospital. Like the people who were there for like a finger injury or a toe stub, like those people weren't coming in. But the people who were coming in were super sick. And most of them were COVID positive. So the emergency room had so many people in there, they didn't have enough beds for them. So they had people like in the hallways on stretchers, sitting in chairs, and the ER nurses were taking care of like 6, 8 patients. And that's like so dangerous and so difficult as a nurse because that's your license, on the line.
So like it basically the way you're describing it, you think about it like a scene in a movie, like after a bombing, and you just see patients everywhere.
100%.
And it's kind of like that's what you guys lived in for like months.
Yeah, and everyone's
My
trying to
God.
help everyone, but it's like so stressful because you have your own workload and you're trying to take care of your own and keep them alive. And to add, not only are you doing all this medically, but think about emotionally and physically and mentally and handling these patients' family members on top of. So not only your own emotions of dealing with death and code, but dealing with the family members. Hey, your loved one just passed, helping them through the grieving process and having to start all over again. So that was by far my worst day.
Yeah. How do you guys, I'm assuming you've experienced that type. You've been around patients that haven't made it, right?
Yeah, it's usually the never really the COVID because they'd always, they're essentially on life support and they would just send them up. But like for me, in CAT scan, if it's like a trauma alert comes in, it's mainly like the suicides that we see. That
a lot of gunshot wounds.
Yeah. Well, it's
So how do you? And I want to go to both of you guys on this. So start with Jeffrey. How do you, like you said, you don't have time in the moment to process, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a moment in time where you sit down and all of a sudden you're like, that person died? And because to me, the reason I ask, and I know, to me, it's like I know this guy was 45. This dude was alive for 45 years. and it's just done.
Yeah.
That's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah. Yes and no at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost you get like numb to it.
Really?
I don't want to say like
You get callous.
you still see it and you're like, man, but then you hear like nurses, the ER nurses are, they've seen a lot of crap and they'll
Yeah.
sit there and cut up jokes about like, I don't even want to say it. And it's just stuff that you hear because you're like, man.
That's the way they process
Yeah.
it.
Because I think one day we had 2 suicides in the same day. It was a 60-something-year-old guy and a 20-something-year-old guy, same day. I was like, man. I scanned both of them. Out
Really?
of 3 scanners, I get both of them. Like, and just
Wow.
like some of the stuff you hear the doctors saying, you're like, but like obviously you're sitting there like this kid's 20-something years old, and you're like, man.
Do you
It's-
remember the first time you ever dealt with it?
Dealt with.
Yeah, had an experience where you had a patient that either didn't make it or
I think I was in school.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was in school, X-ray school. We were walking down the hallway. I was with one of the ladies that was teaching me. She'd probably been an X-ray tech for probably close to 40 years.
really.
And EMS is coming down the hallway. You know, they're sitting there pushing, and you got one little EMS guy standing up on top, just like one-handed
Yeah.
compressions. Lady's blue in the face, her tongue sticking out, her eyes are wide open. I'm like, watching go by, the lady that was with me, the X-ray tech, she looks at me, she goes, "Oh, well, she's dead." And we just keep walking. I'm like,
Wow.
I was like, oh,
That's wild.
All
And
right.
you know what? It's funny because I think some people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, "What the fuck?" Right? But at the same time, I mean, if you're around it all the time,
yeah,
you really eventually your body or your mind stops being shocked by it. You know, like to me, and I know you've told stories about it before, and I'm sitting here, and to me, honestly, like I like to think of myself as a fucking hard ass, and there's a lot of things I can deal with pretty well, but I got to be honest, like being around in a place where you work and someone dies every day, to me, I'd be like, fuck that.
Yeah. No,
know?
I think from a nurse's perspective, though, you don't think about like, oh my God, this patient's dying, especially trauma and ER nurses. We
Yeah.
think about our brains think in such a different way. So medical, so airway, breathing, circulation. How can I fix this patient? Like, what do I need to do? What medicine can I get in them? What task do I need to do? What procedure can we do?
Yeah.
So our brains just think so differently, and we process things after. There's been lots of instances where it's like I go home and, lay in bed at night and I'm like, what could I have done differently? Yeah. And a lot of the times there isn't much I could have done differently, especially with these kiddos, the babies, the infants. Recently lost 2 twins. That was rough because it was the dad who smothered them. Both twins died. And it's like as they came into us dead and, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm gonna tell you, side note, I felt like I was gonna be in the medical field. When Michael was born, I was like, I need a job that I can do like 24 hours on, 48 hours off.
24 on?
So the only thing that came to mind was like firefighter. But to be a firefighter, you have to do first responder and so on and so forth. Yeah. So I'm going through these classes.
Yeah.
And you're learning the method, OPQRST, and you're going out there and you have to do ride time. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a great job.
Dude, I remember this. I remember you were driving around for a while. Yeah, I remember.
So I'm doing this, and believe it or not, it's fun as a firefighter because you put on the equipment. I already looked the part. I just knew it was gonna be great. So we're doing our ride time, and these guys are like, hey, it's barbecue chicken. I was like, what do you mean it's barbecue chicken? And it's like, yeah, it's barbecue chicken. Yikes. Come on, rookie. You'll know what it is when you get there.
The smell.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I get up on scene, and everybody has a trigger. Yeah. And the fire chief will tell you, if it's your trigger, don't get off the truck. Because some people don't like to see old people dead. Some people don't like to see young kids die and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I get out of the car, and there's a mother, a father, and a baby in the back seat. And the mother's like holding the steering wheel. And the dad is reaching in the back for the kid. These two could have made it out of the car and survive. But they stayed in the car to help the baby get out. Yeah. And because they stayed in the car blew up and they all died.
Yeah.
So these guys are just going to the scene and we're just putting out the car fire. But I'm like, the baby's like my son's age. So I'm like, I don't think it's good for me to get out of the car. And they're like, yeah, man, this is a normal call. He's like, 90% of the calls are EMS. But every now and then we get a fire and we get excited about it. So we got out and I was like, you know what? That's my trigger because the baby was like Micah's age. So I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
But you don't get a chance to just tap out.
Yeah.
You just stay on the truck.
Yeah.
The very next call, we get another call and a mom kills the baby. So I'm like, oh, okay. Do I run? You gotta get out of the truck, go in the house, and mom suffocates the baby. Dad comes and he runs in the house because he hears the baby's dead. Mom's going out with the police and he's like, he passes out. So obviously we got to bring him back and he just sees his wife in the backseat of the car and the baby is coming out on the little stretcher, this little bag. And I'm like, this is my first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm just going to
That's
be the
real,
driver.
though. That's real.
And
That's
that
real
was just
life.
the very first day. You got to clock out at 7 and be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this all over again, 7 to 7.
Yep.
Very next day, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to do a regular 9 to
See, that's what I'm
5.
saying, man. That's such a different world. That's the big reason why we wanted to ask you those questions because a lot of people you don't necessarily understand. Like the only thing a lot of families know is when they go into the emergency room, they have to wait an hour sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's
And
it.
complain
They just
about
get
it.
pissed, and
Yeah.
people get irritated, and it's like,
Yeah.
But like, if you really knew what every single one of the individuals that worked in that building like went through, not just like, oh, this one time, it's like a daily thing.
100%.
And I thought it was gonna be like Grey's Anatomy. I was gonna be excited. I was like, yes, I can't wait for my moment. That's all they were doing. But
No,
it's
Well, 'cause,
not
like,
that way.
The main thing is like you get like a patient that's like this, like the suicides, and then the very next patient's like a cheery, like middle-aged woman sitting there wanting to chat with you,
and you have to act the same
and you're
way.
like,
Like you
That's
didn't just
crazy.
see
you're
what
like
you
you
saw.
peer over and you miss a little bit of blood that's on the floor. You're like, oh, okay.
Or like you get done with the trauma and you just lost a baby and then you go into the next room and mom's sitting there complaining how you weren't quick enough to get a blanket or get ice water for her child or a popsicle for her child. And you're like, you have no idea. And you can't tell them like, hey, I just got done. Like a baby just died on me. Like I'm processing that. You can't do that. You just keep going about your day.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why I'm leaving bedside and going to work from home because it didn't feel fair to him, to our future family that we have. Like I took a look around at all the older nurses and they're either on antidepressants, divorced, or, going through something. And I was like, I just really don't, I don't want to be there. And
It's a challenging environment.
Yeah.
And I think especially over the last few years, even aside from COVID, I mean, it's become an industry that there's a huge demand in.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And the workload is very high.
I feel like we're always short staffed. And I mean, that's the reality of nursing in hospitals.
Yeah. That can be very frustrating to deal with. So gosh, man, I'm literally kind of thinking about some of that other stuff. I'm like, holy shit. It kind of blows your mind a little
Yeah.
bit, dude.
Those experiences that you have are just that. You see a lot of they're using antidepressants and so on and so forth. You're giving up time
Yeah.
to give someone else time. Nobody realizes that. So whenever I see a nurse, I immediately tip my hat to them because your time that you're giving up, that 7 to 7, that person may not interact with anybody else but you. And they may have not had anybody else's help but you. And when they go, then at least they have somebody that they communicate, somebody that cared about them a little bit before they left this world.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that die alone, and I feel like that's like a statement that no one talks about. But loneliness it feels like you're already there.
Yeah.
So being a nurse, just having that step in their direction, that compassion to say, I'm going to help you along the way. I mean, it's some people you just can't help. But at least they're not going by themselves without no one looking out for them.
So something small that I actually did when I worked ICU, if I knew I wasn't going to be able to be in a patient's room and I was concerned about them like coding and dying on me, I would actually fill a glove with warm water and I would put it in their hand like they were holding someone's hand.
Really?
So that it felt like they had some warmth, like someone was holding their hand.
Wow.
That was something that I always tried to do.
That's creative.
You'd be
Wow.
surprised how much of that little keeps them alive.
Yeah.
Whenever a baby comes out, first thing you do is just throw it on the skin.
Yeah.
And they put skin to skin because you need to feel that warmth. That warmth keeps you alive. So when you go with a nurse, it's like, I'm so excited about that because they're going to give them that warmth that they need. It may help and it may hurt, but that was their best option moving forward.
Yeah. I feel you on that, man. So what would you say is, if you recall, like the best days that you guys had? If you guys have, I know obviously your role is
That was a big transition,
Jeffrey, but yeah. Like what would you say is the most memorable day you guys have had in your roles?
Best wise, like
Yeah. I got to go home early.
look at the board. There's nobody on the board to scan. That's what I'm talking about.
When you guys rekindled for the second time.
Yeah.
Well, one of mine was as a student, I scanned this one guy at the hospital because I went to school at the hospital, but I ended up getting a job across the street at a clinic.
Yeah.
So I scanned him at the hospital as a student. A year later, I see him again at the clinic to do a follow-up scan. I'm like, hey, and he remembered who I was. And then again, I think a year after that, he came back in because his was like a pretty bad break. I don't want to say exactly where because just in case he sees it and he knows what I'm talking about. But he knew who I was and he remembered me from all the different. It's cool seeing that he actually made like a full recovery with what was going on with him. 'Cause it was pretty nasty what happened to him. Yeah,
that's cool. That would be
I guess I can say it.
Yeah,
Broke his dick.
No, he like stepped off
that's a muscle, bro.
You know I know it's a muscle. Go ahead.
He like stepped off a stool and broke his tib fib right here, and his foot was laying off to the side.
Dude, that
Big
was
time break.
No, that's just like that's like the Conor McGregor break.
Oh,
Yeah.
When
dude.
he was fighting Dustin
Oh
Poirier.
my
it
gosh,
literally
that was
just-
gnarly.
Both of them just snapped clear.
Yeah.
And he just flipped. Ugh.
And either he was a tough old dude or he was just in shock because when I did his X-ray at the hospital, he was just sitting there. Like nothing was happening. I'm like, and your foot's laying to the side. And it's not supposed to be like that. And but he made a full recovery though.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's worse things in the world than breaking your tib fib. But for his age,
that can be difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel you on that.
yeah.
What about you?
I don't know if I have like a best day because I mean, in 12 hours, so much shit kind of happens that
Yeah.
there's not really like good thing after good thing after good thing. You kind of anticipate bad things in between. But I have like good things. But one of the stories that kind of always stays with me is when I was actually a CNA at the hospital, I was working on a cardiac floor and I had a patient who he was kind of not doing well, but not to the point where it was like, oh yeah, you're gonna like immediately die. We need to go to hospice or we need to go to ICU. Like he was still well enough to like live kind of on his own. But so it was the end of my shift, probably around 6 or 7. And he looked at me and he said, I'm going to die tomorrow. I want you to pray with me. Are you a Christian? And I was like, whoa, like kind of took me back a little bit because, you know, hospital protocol, you have no idea how it works as far as like religion and everything. And I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, you pull things out and you think about like, what would you do if you weren't in this place right now? And I was like, you know, he's asking me to do this for him. So I took that as kind of like permission per se. So I did. I started praying with him and he started sobbing and I asked him, you know, do you want to accept Jesus in your heart, and kind of walk through the whole, you know, prayer. And I kid you not, when I came in the next day, he died. Straight up died.
Wow.
And I'll never forget like how important I felt, like aside from all the medical care, like, you know, I could give him a bed bath and give him his food and help feed him, but nothing was as important as that moment right there in his life. So
That's insane.
that was pretty cool.
How do you guys, being in a relationship, how do you guys handle and transition not bringing work home?
Yeah.
I just don't talk about it.
So give me 3 real quick.
No,
That's a real man way of dealing with it.
no, listen, Jeffrey is a different breed. A lot of people can't do that, but he is very good at he clocks out and he's like, Like he literally does.
That's how I describe it. Yeah. Like,
But
man,
for-
I'm done with this place. You just walk across the street and get in your vehicle and go home.
But for me, it's a little bit. It's definitely a little bit more difficult. I mean, I try and run it out, or I don't know that if I really have to, we'll talk about it and kind of process it together. But most of the time, like sometimes I'm crying and he's holding me, and we kind of get through it that way, and we go on a walk, or we talk about the good things in our life, and we kind of get past it that way. But
yeah. So now, would you guys realistically, obviously, this when you first got into nursing, what you dove into was like way bigger than what you thought.
Chaos.
Right? Yeah. Chaos. So given as though the development from COVID to now, like you said, it's still a busy environment. It still feels like you can always use more nurses. But I mean, have you seen an improvement in like in structure, functionality as far as buildings from COVID time to now? Or is it still like just kind of in and out?
I don't know. It's still pretty rough.
Well, I mean, anything ER related is always going to be a little
chaotic.
Yeah, because you really can't. You could be doing fine. You got like I'm gonna explain like CAT scan wise. You got like you look up 10 on the board, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, the day's going great. And then they're like, you can hear over the intercom, trauma inbound ×3, 15 minutes out, and you're like,
so you have 3 traumas.
Everything just goes
in.
to crap once they get there. And you're like, you go from having 10 on the board, and you get backed up doing all those, and you got 30 on the board, and you're like,
so yeah, right, like walk me through that for both you guys. Like when you have something that hits, right? Like if you have, say, a mom and a baby coming in an ambulance, right? And because you're peds, right? What do you do? And
well, they separate the parents
so
from
mom,
the children if they're both involved in the same accident.
That's the goal. Sometimes they do come in together because sometimes EMS screws up.
Yeah, but
and then if peds comes in on the adult side, the pediatric team runs over there. We grab baby and we separate them because they both need traumatic care. So they've got to be separated into 2 different rooms so that we can utilize supplies that we need.
Yeah.
It's so in the pediatric emergency room, you have nurses who are clinical care nurses, so they've gone through the extra training of like the trauma training and everything. And then you have typically you have critical care nurse 1, critical care nurse 2, and then you have a couple other people who are kind of hands on deck to help you do like run the blood work that you need or help with CPR, because if you're doing CPR for an hour, that's absolutely exhausting. Like after 20 minutes, you're like, or even after 10 minutes, you're like, switch. Like 3 minutes, I'm like, switch. And I'm short too, so I need a stool.
Legit. You guys will do CPR on someone for an hour?
100%, especially kids. We code them for a very, very, very long time. It helps the parents through the process. They're actually witnessing it. They're actually seeing it. It helps the grieving process a little bit better. And a lot of the doctors do. Even if they come into us dead and we know they are dead on arrival, we will still code them for an hour.
Wow.
100%.
That's intense.
And you still got to get your IV in. You still will do. So it's frustrating as a nurse because you're putting in epinephrine. You're putting that into the heart. We know that helps, the heartbeat. So this kid is dead. You push them with epi, and that's gonna restart their heart, and then they get a rhythm back.
Yeah.
But that's not them. That's the medicine. So then it gives the parents hope, and it just makes things so much harder sometimes.
Yeah. Wow. My gosh.
Have never done CPR. One of the only CT techs where I work at.
Yeah.
I have to do it on next day I work.
I used to tell him all the time, I'm like, today's your day, babe. Today's your day. He gets so mad.
It's good like that. They don't die on my table.
No, they
You're
don't.
like 30 and 2.
What would you guys say is the thing that you enjoy the most from your guys' roles in healthcare? We interrupt this podcast to bring you Sunterra Solar Solutions, a leading edge solar company committed to making sure they provide a phenomenal experience to its customers. Going solar was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Not only did they provide me a no-hassle experience, it didn't feel like a sales experience. It felt like an amazing person-to-person having a conversation on whether solar was going to be right for me. I was fortunate enough to not only lower my monthly energy cost, but they gave me an option to be able to create a stabilized monthly bill that I could prepare around. I qualified for a new customer incentive that put cash in my hand after installation, as well as I qualified for a tax credit at the end of that same year after I had it installed. All in all, not only was it the best decision I ever made, I lowered my monthly energy costs, I stabilized my bill, I put a ton of cash in hand. It felt like I got paid to go solar. And my most favorite part that I haven't even mentioned, it eliminated my exposure to future increasing rates from the utility companies. So if you think going solar is the right thing for you, by all means, hit us up in our DMs. We can connect you with a sales associate today. And now back to the episode. Obviously, you have a lot of intense moments in your job, right? What would you say is something that you enjoy? On something that you see every now and again, or something that you encounter on a daily basis?
So for me, I think when I actually can see a difference in the care of in the condition of the kid when they first come in versus when they leave. So if we can actually fix them. So for me, something that's really great, well, is whenever like an asthmatic kid comes in. Yeah. So they come in, they can't breathe, like they're, on the verge of death if they can't get some albuterol in them. They come in and they're really struggling. We get respiratory therapists in there, and nurses could not do their job if we did not have respiratory therapists. So RTs, thank you for everything you guys do. But so they come in, they fix the kiddos. We give them some, steroids and help them. And they do an hour-long treatment. And a lot of the times they improve and they are up, actively running, and they want a popsicle. And that's really cool, seeing them come in in that really bad, traumatic situation. And we're able to, change the condition within an hour. So that's really satisfying.
That's cool.
Being able to see a change in condition.
That would be a huge differential from what you've encountered, like you talked about.
For sure.
Being asthmatic, I had that happen. We always do that. My dad would like mess around with me. If I had an asthma attack, he would drive past the hospitals. I'm like, all right, you're going to learn not to do that again, right? So you understand like that. She's right. Yeah. After an hour, I'm just fine. But before that, I'm holding on to the seatbelt. Like, I'm dying, Dad. I'm dying.
For real.
Nah, man, you were bad in college. You and Rico. You had that machine. I'll never forget it, bro. There were times
the nebulizer.
He had the mask on a couple times and you just see him like, I got up like one morning and this man was on the couch. I didn't go make it. And I was like, damn, you need your mask, buddy? What's going on? I didn't know shit about that thing, but Rico had brought it over or something. He had borrowed it or something. They had these little packages or something with it.
Yeah.
And then all the smoke starts coming through. And then you see him over there. He looks like he's like hitting meth out of that little mask. It's like, oh, yeah.
Was it a dinosaur nebulizer? Because those are my favorite.
I had stickers on my nebulizer.
Yeah.
It just brings you back to childlike joy. Now, I didn't always have a nebulizer. Some days, my mom taught me like a little remedy that you put hot water over the stove and you just take deep breaths.
Yeah.
Steam.
And that steam just calms you down.
Like open up your airways.
To where I can go to sleep now. No one understands, like, as an asthmatic, you don't know what's going to trigger it. I can be eating pizza, and then all of a sudden, I'm having an asthma attack. Mm-hmm. I can run 10 miles, be perfectly fine. But I eat something, and I have an allergic reaction. Now I feel like I'm breathing through a straw.
Yeah.
So it's just a different reaction to it, and there's nothing that you can actually do about it.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, you take Advair, and you feel like you're Superman. Oh, yeah, I'm good for 24 hours. After 24 hours, you're like, where the hell is that thing at? Like, you don't want to have that moment.
And you still get that?
I don't get it now. It's because I've changed everything about me. Like, I don't eat milk at all. No one tells you the truth that dairy causes that inflammation, causes your lungs to clog up. So
that's so fucked up.
I went directly to.
No, I feel terrible. I don't mean to interrupt, but my God, I remember I didn't know this. Ash had to tell me a couple times. like Avery's had really bad cough and you get like bronchitis and shit, and I'm like, here, have some milk. I didn't know. I didn't know, dude. I wasn't educated. And next thing you know, she's like going through it, and I'm like, God, man, I wonder what's doing this to her. Like, damn, right?
Maybe another glass. Here you go.
Oh my god.
Just put milk in the sun, and it'll tell you exactly what it's doing to you.
It's terrible.
That's primarily it. I mean, your body's like, what, 98 degrees or something like that? So that's what you're putting in your body. And it's heating.
98.7. Did I get that right?
Sure.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't be an anus. Come on. I watched the movie Osmosis Jones. Let me get that 3 real quick. Yes.
We just did
was
tap
the man right there.
to asthma.
We work in Celsius, so Fahrenheit kind of isn't on my radar.
Whatever, dude. You guys got that advanced English. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's on you, Jeff.
So,
Ain't using all that Celsius.
No.
This is America.
No.
this is America.
Hey, X-ray and CAT scan, that's where it's at, man. They live a good life.
I don't know what all I can say about that. We're kind of like the. Sorry for touching your foot there.
Footsie.
We're almost like the redheaded stepchild of like the medical field.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. For like the longest time, we never had uniforms. You can kind of just, I don't know, they kind of look at like at radiology like, do we need it? But then, but then they order so much stuff.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know what's wrong. CAT scan.
Yeah, but again, they look at us like, are they really even medical? Because we're just sitting back there, pressing buttons.
Pressing buttons, eating pizza,
Yeah,
playing
but
music.
I was going to say that, but
We still have to know
you're
what we're
trained if an
doing.
emergency
Oh,
happens.
100%. They're a
Yeah.
very good team.
Because we still have to push meds and CT. So
When have you ever,
Well,
aside
it's-
from contrast,
it's considered a medication.
when have
I'm
you
allowed to start
ever-
IVs too.
Okay, and when have you started an IV? Oh, wait, I can't say that.
They get married.
Oh,
wait,
wait.
what?
Oh, wait, I just said the hospital name. We gotta cut
We'll
that.
bleep it out. We'll bleep it out. So then they're getting married tomorrow. Ready? So
Oh,
this
yeah.
when this episode airs.
Oh,
Please continue the argument.
When have you ever started an IV at the hospital?
See why they call you guys a stepchild. Like, you just
know,
press
right?
back there,
See,
pressing
look at
button. Yeah.
No, but no,
Yeah.
did you see the interaction
No.
right there?
You know
When have
why?
you ever done anything?
He
I-
has a defense lined up already. It's like, have you ever done it? Nope, but I could.
No, I'm
Who
only
started more
upset.
IVs in school?
I'm only upset because I didn't pick it. I didn't pick his career.
Wait.
That's why I'm upset.
How many IVs did you start in school as a nurse?
In nursing 3 or nursing 4?
Y'all didn't even start any IVs. It's crazy.
No, it was only on mannequins.
Exactly. We had to
Oh.
do 40 on actual people.
When I was a new grad.
School.
You know
Okay,
what? I
anyway.
gotta tell you, dude, it's so funny. I'm gonna say this. I am so fucking deathly afraid of needles.
Really?
Getting my blood drawn. I can't.
I did not know this about
Oh
you.
my
Do you have to
God.
watch it or do you have to
What?
look away?
I get to sweating. That's why I never go
He
to
gets
the
the shaking. You,
Yeah,
like,
Oh.
I've gotten to
Now I
sweat.
want to put an IV in you.
Dude, I'm telling you. But see all this? All
I'm about
that.
to say, you have all the
Well, you
All
go
this?
by you. Okay,
Easiest
a
thing.
good nurse knows you go by feel, not by sight.
I don't know. I have no idea. But all I know is whenever I get these, when Mike tattoos anything, like it's just like, oh, that kind of hurts a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And I see. Don't worry, I see it. What do they call it? The butterfly. thing?
Butterfly needle.
Butterfly needle.
I mean,
See,
that's for blood work.
it comes in. And
They're
I
so
just I see the
small.
little patch thing, and I already know there's this tiny little thing on the end of it, and I'm like, ah,
Oh my god!
no.
You were a grown ass man.
Like I am, yeah, and it happens the last 3 times.
Do you pass out?
No, I'm never gonna pass out. My body doesn't pass out from stuff like
Oh,
that. It
his
does.
face turns red.
My
Like,
face will get real red, and on 3 different occasions, and twice when Keon was there, I called my mom, and I was like,
Your
Mom!
mom.
"Mama!" right? And she goes, "Hold on." As a matter of fact, where's my phone? I'm about to call her ass right now.
Oh my gosh!
Hold on. We're gonna do this live.
understand this.
Calling our mom.
You did not wake up today
Be a bitch.
to be a
Listen,
weak ass bitch.
he
Yeah, I know. That's
shakes
why I'm quoting it.
profusively. Like,
Oh
I'm
my
telling you, like, they
gosh.
come in, and the moment they tell me he has to get a shot, his face changes completely.
That
Like,
is
I didn't know he
so
had to get a shot.
funny.
How big is the
Oh
needle?
my gosh!
I'm like, bro, it's going to be 10 seconds.
Oh my god!
He doesn't care.
You're one of those patients that
Yes.
we're all like, "Fuck."
Do you have to?
No,
Hey, Mike.
I don't freak out anymore. Like I'll just chill and I'll just be like, just do it, just go, just do what you gotta do.
Do you have to
And I'll
watch
just,
it?
Like sit
Oh no.
and be
Okay.
like super still and like I'll just look in another direction. But hold on. Watch this. I hope she
Oh
answers.
my
And I'm like the
gosh.
complete opposite. I'm like, I got all these veins. Pick one.
Yeah.
Like, come on, have fun.
Well, I feel like,
I
I feel like
will
it hurts more
say-
if you don't watch it go in. I feel like if I watch it go in, I know when it's going to happen. But if I'm like looking away,
we
and
go.
you're like,
You can prepare for the
yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh my God, she answered. Hey, Mom.
What?
Hey, how many times from the time I left home did I have to go to the doctor and I called you whenever they brought out the scary stuff?
Needle?
The needle.
Yeah, how many times?
You know it's bad.
I don't know. Maybe 2 or 3.
Yes.
know it's bad.
So we're doing a pod right now, and you're on the podcast, Mom. Congrats.
Hey, Mom.
Everybody.
Hi.
So we were just talking about it. We have Alyssa and Jeffrey in here, right? And they were telling some stories about their job and being a nurse and being a tech, right? Who's also allowed to do IVs, right? So and then we were talking about drawing blood, and I was like, oh my God. I said I get so scared. So sometimes I had to call my mommy.
He did too. He was in college.
Yeah.
Calls me on the phone. I'm at the doctor's and I got to get a shot.
Oh my gosh, Brock.
Never know.
Oh, it's just a shot.
I
It's not
mean,
even an IV.
he will go and hit
What?
a wall, but a little needle, it's a wrap. Like, I'm calling mom.
Listen, I accept my faults. I understand, not
That's not a fault. Some people have needle phobias.
yeah.
Some people have all sorts
Look
of
at your mom. She's being a
Exactly.
real
I know,
mom. She's
I
like
know.
coddling you.
Yeah.
No.
100%.
Remember with the photo?
Hi, Alyssa.
No,
Hi,
she
Hi.
had a condition.
Hello.
All right, Mom. We're gonna let you go. I know you're about ready to go to sleep, aren't you?
I am. I'm really tired today.
I know.
Oh.
It's only 8:30.
I know. I was working out in the sun like Chris does for a long time.
Yeah, like 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, I would say probably 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah,
I swear to God, I thought you were gonna be like, no, about 45.
Yeah, long time.
All right, well, go to sleep. Everyone on the podcast says they love you.
All right, love them too.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Now, have you mentioned I am your wife's sister?
What?
I don't think you've mentioned that.
No.
I don't think people on the podcast knows that.
He didn't say that one time.
No.
So that's my relevance here.
Oh, well, also, the relevance of you guys have a much more important job than anyone else that I know.
Yeah.
You guys do things to help people on a daily basis.
Bye.
I thought that was a pretty significant thing, So, well, I think we're at, it's the blah, blah, blah. We go into spice of the week. So, do you guys have
that?
anything you'd like to add? Like anything, there's a good one. If you guys had some positive advice for some people in nursing school or, looking to get into the medical field, what would you guys say?
I'll be like Jeffrey. Just press a button, baby. I'm all right with you. Just
Do this little-
A lot of paths in radiology you can go. Like I'm kind of like the bottom. You can still go higher. There's MRI, nuke med.
Ultrasound. That's where it's at.
Ultrasound's
Yeah?
kind of nasty.
Oh, just
Nah.
sounds
It ain't all scanning babies.
just
It ain't all scanning
it
babies.
ain't all skin.
I think that would be a good
Ultrasound's
career.
Yeah.
Ultrasound.
So,
Putting a little goop on there.
I don't know. Have you ever been a nurse though?
I know, but they're sitting there like having to do DVT studies on like weeping legs as they're pressing against it, and all the juices are coming out, following it up, trying to find veins.
Not that bad.
Heck no. Fistulas, anal fistulas, scanning dudes' nut sacks.
all right.
Nah,
All right. I don't want to do that either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no.
You
Nobody.
just-
That's why they do
It's
well.
so funny, man, when you hear about the roles that you guys have to play in all different roles. Like, it's so personal to the human body.
100%.
And I, oh, man. Damn it, I'm about to tell the story. Shit, I didn't want to do that. And the reason that's why, dude, it was terrible. It was
So funny.
It was so horrible.
Oh.
I was having issues. I was bleeding, right?
Yeah.
And I called them, and I'll tell you what, man, it was bad, dude. It was bad situation. When we looked at it, it's a lot. It was a lot of blood. But where
Come on, when you had your period. We all know it was time to come. Like it was gonna happen. Like he had it.
what? No, No, so I had a really bad issue with my backside.
Here. We seen the
You know what
blood.
the funny thing is, his Miami slang, he doesn't even say the word period. He said
said period.
Period.
It's a wrap. So no, it was
Gosh.
it was an issue on the backside, right? And I was, and it is what it is, man. But it just had some things happen. Next thing you know, I was calling them because there was a lot of blood and all this other stuff, and I have to go to the doctor the next day. They recommended it, and then there was
I forced.
yeah, there was a few things that happened in the middle of the night, which is why for the first time I'm like, damn, I don't think this really wasn't normal. And let's be real, I mean, it was a good amount that was coming out.
Yeah.
And she's like,
It was a heavy flow.
yeah, it was a very heavy flow. I had the 2 X-wings, you know what I'm saying? So let me tell you, I had fucking X-wing spiders up there.
my
Still
God.
wasn't stopping it.
Yeah.
So, but either way, so I go the next day, and the reason why God, I'm not gonna tell the whole story. One day I will, but I had to
pretty
drop.
funny.
I had to drop trow, and there's 4 or 5 people in my business
Yeah.
the next day, and I'm sitting here thinking listen, man,
Welcome to nursing.
I did not wake up today to have 7 different human beings evaluate my asshole. I didn't want them to see this. And the worst part of the whole scenario, you remember, I told you the guy was like, "Oh man, you've got to see this." And I'm like, "Nah, man, let's just wrap this up." You got 4 people standing there staring at me, and you have one person holding me open so people can stare at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not comfortable with this. And the guy's like, "Oh no, man, you got to see this." I was like, "Bro, how am I gonna look at it? Give me your phone." Swear to God, bro. Swear to God. He goes, "Give me your phone." I'm like, "Dude, no. Let's just whatever you think. Let's go." He's like, No. You want to see it? Give me your phone." I argue with him one more time, and I'm like, "Dude, no, absolutely not." And I was like, "Dude, I don't want to see it." He's like, "Oh yeah, you want to see it? Come on, bring it out." Whatever, dude. I gave him my phone, and then you hear it motherfucker took 3, hands me the phone back. You hear 2 more.
Oh my God. That was the highlight of his day.
Oh my God. So next thing you know, he's like, "All right." He's like, "Check it out. Look at that thing, man. You see that? It's huge." And I'm like, "Bro, all right, man. Wrap this up. Let's go. You need to get all these people away from my asshole. We don't want to talk about this, right?" And lo and behold, it was something very, very natural that just fucking happens. It is what it is.
Called the menstrual cycle.
God
You
damn
just got just a little bit later.
The
That was
joke's
it.
old now,
Just throwing it out
Keon.
there.
Can't keep saying the same joke
I'm
over
just
and over.
letting you know.
Anyway,
We all know.
so dude, that was an intense moment. It was wild. And like I said, for the first time, I really, because I don't go to the doctor ever. I hate
Yeah.
going to the doctor. I can't stand it. And now we all know why. Because I'm so afraid of needles and shots. I'm like, I don't want to do all that. So the first time she makes me go, and
Sure did.
I'll tell you what, I've been motivated to never,
Go back.
ever go back.
It's like it's jail. I'm never going back.
It was prison without the inmates. Everybody saw my shit. What are we talking about?
I'd have been Captain Morgan. Put it up there. Hey, they got to see it, baby.
Damn.
I'm here for a reason.
Anyway, let us
my
move
gosh.
on. So we're gonna do our spice of the week. Are you guys familiar with spice of the week?
No.
Yeah, I know. See,
So-
they don't watch the pod.
It was listen. It's the best part of the week.
It
Is
is.
it?
Part of the week.
Okay.
It's the best part of the week.
Something about your week that propelled your week to be better. I know, and we're in the beginning of the week, but I can always say, I haven't seen my son all weekend. So the first time he comes to me, he's so excited, telling me what he did on the weekend. Dad, I went to Disney World. I went here, I went there, and I was like, "Son, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
As long as you have fun, I don't care." And he was like, "Dad, I wanted to tell you this because the whole time I was like, I wish my dad was here."
Oh.
And I was like, you thought about me in that moment, son. I didn't think about you not one time this weekend outside of the videos that you sent
When
me.
he said that,
Damn.
he chiseled right at Keon's cold heart.
And he's just like, "Dad, I love the moments we have together. I much rather have moments where we just chill
Yeah.
and be around each other than be at Disney World and having the time of my life."
See.
So I was like, I appreciate you. Really, when you talk to a lot of people all day long and you come in contact with a lot of people, you feel like you're just another person, another number. Yeah. But to hear that you exist in this person's world and have the impact to where they look forward to seeing you each and every day, you only get that from dogs.
Yeah.
and that's what I feel like my spice of the week is just starting out, seeing this little boy excited to just rape me with my pockets and get whatever he wants because he says stuff like that. So that's my spice of the week. Just
that's a little bit more counterproductive than the usual spice. He didn't go his normal direction. Yes. But I'm not gonna lie, I appreciate it. I think it's great. That's
normally I go off a threshold or something that was just bananas that really drove me home. But
just keeping it real today.
I'm keeping it just real simple along the lines of just enjoy the people around you. Like you never know. Like you guys talked about death like it was like night and day.
Yeah.
One of those babies could have been Mikey with ease. So just the mere fact that I continue to have time with him, continue to see him develop, continue to see him grow, and know that I have an impact on his life to where he never wants to go a day without me. So that says a lot because I don't feel that way about anybody. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
So Jeffrey, what your spice of the week? Is there something that made your week? Maybe you have a shitty week or an average week and it kind of pushed and propelled it to the next level, or it's the highlight of the week that made your week great.
Nowhere near as good as Keon.
No, don't worry. Usually by the time we get to me, like mine is fucking stupid.
Mine's pretty stupid, so I'm gonna beat you to it. All right.
So to me, it's a little thing. So
little thing, like the pool got a little bit warmer. Like I can swim in the pool without freezing my butt off now.
Let's be real. That's not a bad spice.
Yeah.
That's not, we are getting closer to the summer, so that's not a bad spice. But I know you got a birthday coming up. Right next to you, a wedding coming up.
Yeah,
right next to you. So your spice is coming up.
Yeah,
I mean, this is you got one wife, one life.
Yeah,
it's real simple. You do it right, you only got to do it one time.
Do it right, do it light.
That's it. So I believe your spice is continuously moving forward. The person next to you, everyone thinks that a relationship is the wedding, is everything after the wedding.
Yeah,
the work that you put in, and how you make it your own.
Hey, you know
what?
Hey, no. Right after you said that, anybody seen the original Dennis the Menace? Have you seen it?
Of course.
All right. You remember when he's counting and he's doing hide and go seek, and he's looking at that little kid. He's like, "Hey, you're watching where everybody's going, right?" And the kid's like, "Yep."
That's what everybody is.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So. All right, we're gonna stick with his. That's Keon's spice of the week for you. So he's the pool. Hey, the pool water got a little warmer.
Pool got a little warmer.
There you go.
Damn.
What do you got? What do you got, sisters?
The wedding is a few days out. All right.
Oh my god,
it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, mine was. I just had my last day at work yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm off work for almost an entire month before I start my new job, which is bizarro because we are kind of workhorses. We work a lot. Yeah. So I don't know. I was just feeling super grateful. Like my staff was super supportive and like my new endeavor and everything that we have coming up. So I just felt super grateful. Like we just bought a house. We're getting married. I turned 25 in a few days. Like we got married in 10 days. So I don't know. I'm just feeling super grateful.
She's making mine seem so bad.
You're getting married tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I'm getting married tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That's why I was like, your spice has to be getting married.
Yeah,
I mean, this is.
I forgot this is coming out right
now.
now.
Yeah. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. The pool got a little warm.
The pool got a little warm. Pool got a little warm.
That's like a typical guy response. Like,
I'm still getting
he's not
in the habit
lying.
of it though, because there was a certain point in time we had episodes that were backlogged by months. Like we recorded, I think our first 12 episodes in the first month.
Dang.
And we were still splitting. We were still shooting like one every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we didn't empty the canister for like 3-4 months. Mind you, this is our 7th month. Yeah. Realistically.
Dang,
so
okay.
yeah. So we're now, and since we've upgraded, now we're doing weekly. So now we have no more series. We're doing this is the whole podcast.
Nice.
You know, so like now having to adjust and think about when things are coming out and when you refer to talk about things.
Right.
Like it was terrible because we were talking about something that was a current event and it didn't get released for 3 months. And everyone's like, yeah, that shit was old.
Was it like a football reference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I figured.
I think the only ones that really came out on time like that was the Christmas episode. That was the only one that was really up to date
Just spot
on that. Yeah.
Other than
But-
that, we were all so far ahead.
Yeah. But that is a phenomenal spice of the week.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
So I'm pretty stoked about this one. Okay. Over, I don't know, well, not a lot of people know, but with every other weekend, right, I am child free. And I had a quick little moment on, what was it, Saturday. Ash and I went to go see the new Fast and Furious movie.
He's still talking about this movie.
And here's the thing. And this is where my spice of the week was.
I have to watch it
You're gonna
tonight.
have to go see it. I walked into that movie expecting it to be complete dog shit. Because the last one, I was actually like one of those guys that was like habitual and ritually going to see them when they came out in theaters. And I thought it was just a cool set of movies. Like, it's action packed. Like, you're still an adult, but you watch the Power Rangers every now and again. You know that shit's fake, right? So half the things they do with the cars in there, it's like, Jesus, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? And when they went into space, that was the point where even I looked over at Keon. I was like, man, this is fucking stupid. Like, this is ridiculous.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so next thing you know, I start seeing reviews, and I'm like, I'm not going to see this shit. I'm not. And all of a sudden, the FOMO in me comes out, which
it's real.
it is. It doesn't usually happen with me, because usually, like, people are like, hey, you should do this. No, like, it's easy for me to just say no.
Yeah.
Mike, you should come hang out with all of us. We'd love for you to come. No.
Dude, not me. I got FOMO like crazy.
See? So
Nah.
it hits me hard, and I'm like, all right, let's go. We go into this 2.5 hour long movie, and I walked out, and I had never been more impressed with a single Fast and Furious movie.
Is it Guardians of the Galaxy good though?
No, that's
Okay.
a
Then
different level.
we're not gonna
That's
see
Marvel.
it.
All I'm gonna tell you is right now, if I go see this movie and it's bad, I want not $32. I want $64.
64.
Yeah, I want 4 times the movie price because it's bullshit. They went to space.
Yeah,
Like,
I know they did. It was stupid in the last one.
gosh.
I went to go see it, and I was thoroughly impressed. And that is kind of what my spice of the week is. When you go into something, for real, when you go into something, and we all know what I'm talking about, and you're like, man, this is going to suck ass. And then by the time a great example, when you go to a friend's house to play cards and you're not really in the fucking mood, and you're like, bro, this is going to suck. Like, I don't want to do this shit. But then you get there, you have a little bit of food, play some cards, shoot the shit, have a few jokes, and you're like, actually, that's not so bad.
And then I beat your ass in poker.
Listen, you better chill the fuck
tell,
out.
tell everybody that. Everybody.
Hell yeah.
You better chill the fuck
Highlight
out.
of my
That
life.
was one time.
That was my spice of the week
You know what
that
was
week.
bullshit? You know what's bullshit? We had 5 poker nights, and I came in second place in all of them. I lost to you and you in
Yep.
separate weeks.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so when I came out of the movie, my expectation here and the actuality of the quality of the movie was way higher. That, to me, I was so impressed. I was like, man, this is great. It was a great time, and it literally propelled the rest of my day, because we had a day on Saturday, bro. And I think I told you a little bit about it, but I had a day, bro. It was a rough day, but that movie pushed me a little bit, and I was like, damn, that was actually really dope. So when you go into things expecting low, and you come out on top.
Before I will go see Brokeback Mountain in 3D before I see another Fast and Furious
Say 3D.
in 3D with the glasses on, main screen, front row before I see another Fast and
What he
Furious
meant
My man
was
said
3
in
dicks.
3D.
That's what he meant. He meant I want
Oh,
to see
shit.
3 dicks up close. You know, like 2 movies later, one of the actors died. So, see.
That's why I said I go see that.
Never know.
How do you feel about making fun of Brokeback Mountain?
Listen, Heath
I'm
Ledger.
defending Brokeback Mountain
Yes.
to argue with you.
Yeah.
God damn it!
The mere fact that you know the actors in the movie.
Oh,
It's a
no.
little.
Are
It's
you
a,
kidding me? Heath Ledger.
well, I know Heath Ledger, but I don't know him from Brokeback Mountain.
I know Heath Ledger.
Have you
as
guys
the Joker
actually
in The
seen
Dark
this
Knight,
movie?
baby.
Wait, we need to talk about this. Have you seen this movie?
What?
Of course, Brooke's seen it.
Oh, no, I've never
I-
seen it. I'll tell you a story about it, though. It's fucked up. So yeah, no, my mom, as usual.
Oh, I've heard this story.
Dog, anybody that doesn't know, my mom has no social cues.
100%.
Right? So she'll get you in a situation and she'll be like we'll be in New York City and she'll be pulled to the side in Chinatown by like 4 Chinese women saying, "No, you buy this one here." Right? And she's like, "Oh, Mike, all these purses are discounted." Right? And she has no clue. Like everyone usually has a sense of like understanding. In her brain, she'll be like, "Oh my God, Mike, they're so discounted." And like, what the fuck's wrong with you? So
I feel like that's kind of Ash too sometimes.
so we're gonna move on. Luckily, she doesn't watch. So
she's my sister. She
yeah,
knows that.
Yeah, she does do that, but she doesn't watch podcasts, so she'll never know I'm talking shit.
I'll tell her.
However, so anyway, I'm walking through the living room. And I was in high school, I think. I'm pretty sure I was in high school. I was in college. It was one or the other. But I'll never forget it. My mom was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I'm probably getting ready to head out." And she's like, "Why don't you stay here?" And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "I don't know. I just want to hang out with somebody. I'm getting ready to watch this movie." And she like had it paused, right? And I'm like, "All right. I mean, what movie is it?" I should have known. She was like, "Just watch it with me. They say it's real good."
Just a cowboy movie.
And I was like, "All right." So I said, "All right, Mom, no problem. Like it is what it is. You know, you want some companionship right now. You want some friendship real quick." And so we sit down, and then you see like there's like the two. There's like a trailer, and they were hiring guys to come out and work the land or something like that. It was like an opening scene, and then I see Heath Ledger. I said, "Oh man, it was Heath Ledger." Right? And then you see they go up on the top of this hill and it starts getting dark. And the tent lights up. And then you start, "Hey, whoa!" Right? And look over. And Mom's like, "What?" And I'm like, "What fucking movie is this?" And she's like, "I didn't want to tell you. It's Brokeback Mountain." I was like, "Mom! No! I have absolutely nothing against it. By all means, do you. But I'm not trying to watch that shit. The hell's wrong with you?" And she's like, "It won an award." Bruh.
Oh my
no. Yo.
Oh,
I was
man.
like, "Bro, get off me, man. No, I'm going out."
So you watch
Oh my god.
Bro, I swear. Yes,
Soft-
it was
soft
based on
porn, what you
soft
want?
porn.
So
They
he
show
did
everything
see
in that
it.
movie.
Yeah.
He watched it.
He watched it.
That was
Yeah, he
the
watched
third
it.
most
The whole
uncomfortable
movie.
setting I've ever had in my life.
He's seen the credits.
Yeah, I've had two worse, man. There's been some worse ones besides that, but
Fast and the Furious is one of those worst.
nah, Brokeback Mountain's gonna take the cake for that.
We all know you watched the credits.
You know what, hey, you know what was actually really funny? I don't know why this was a good zinger. We should probably get off the topic. We don't want to have like a thing. By the way, we are definitely do whatever you want. We're pro do whatever
sure.
you want. For
100%.
sure. We don't give a fuck.
No.
But at the same
As long
time,
as you're not fucking me. Go ahead.
yeah. At the same time, if something's funny, it's funny. So whatever, it is what it is.
Shit.
But I was in class. I was in high school. So it came out in high school. And I'll never forget his name. I'm not going to shout him out right now because I don't want him to get flagged for this. But he raised his hand in the middle of class. And he's like, "Hey, guys, you won't believe this." He said, Brokeback Mountain won an Emmy. Gayest movie of the year. I just remember there's like four of us in class.
Oh
And
man.
we were young. We were like 17 and 19. So we're
Oh,
immature as
man.
fuck as boys, right? And I'll never forget, bro. I died laughing. I fell out of this combo chair that I barely fit in because I'm so big to begin with. And I rolled on the floor laughing. And he's over there with that fake dumbass. Like,
Oh my god.
I don't know why, but I'll never forget that
Do you know
moment.
who he's talking about?
No, you guys have never met him ever. I knew him in high school, and I wouldn't even go as far as to say we were like friends. We were better acquaintances.
They were Brokeback Mountain friends.
He was a wrestler. Hey,
Oh,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
you remember the most iconic scene? The
Yeah.
most iconic scene from that movie, right? Is right after the first night.
We didn't see it.
We didn't see it.
No.
Like, I mean, I didn't see it either.
Mike's
but,
like, you know that one part where they
You know
like.
what I'm talking about.
No, he's breaking it down and everything. Like,
You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. 'cause
how many
it's like-
times have you seen this movie?
He's like, you know, the background's
I've seen
blue.
the first 12 minutes once. But
They're wearing jeans. Or not?
I remember them wearing jeans, and then basically they looked like they wore the same clothes as Kevin Costner in Yellowstone.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll never forget the joke everybody made about it because it was one of the most famous scenes ever. People were making fun of it for years, bro. They even put it on the Tonight Show. They had Jake Gyllenhaal coming out of the tent like drinking his coffee, right? And then Heath Ledger's like leaning against the fence, and he's like, "Hey." Look at each other like, hey, right? And then and they're just kind of sipping coffee, and there's silence for like 10 seconds. And then Heath Ledger out of nowhere just yells, "Yo, I ain't gay or nothing. All right?"
Oh my gosh.
What the fuck? Like, it was the weirdest,
uncomfy.
moment.
It's a soft porn gay movie, and he says he's not gay. I'm all types of confused.
So is he. Apparently.
At the time, he was. Yeah.
If you took one penis.
Were you joking about me at that time?
Nah.
No, we already know you're full on. You're full on. The moment you watch the credits, we figured out.
Gosh.
You had that one time.
Credits. Mom had already started it.
Yeah.
It was literally just the opening to the movie. There was no like, hey, this is the title.
We're talking about end credits.
He's like, actually, Mom, I want to watch this movie with you.
I can only tell.
It won an award.
Yeah, and she literally said this. Like, I was like, "Mom, what the fuck?" She's like, "It won an award. It's supposed to be so good."
I can see her saying that.
Mom, I'm
Oh
not
my
watching this shit. Get out of here.
Was it a good movie, bro?
The first 12 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the first 8 minutes, you're kind of like, well, you're on a ranch. Like, that seems kind of cool. And then you get to the next 4 minutes where, some shit started going down and I became immediately uncomfortable. So that part, no. That part, I was like, Mom, what the fuck? So
It's a love story.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I would say reasonably, my mom loved it. She absolutely loved it. She said it was an amazing movie.
Oh.
And yeah, she did. But at the same time, like, obviously I'll never know. But I think everybody else, as far as the critics for it, like, they said it was very good.
You just seen Jeffrey? He knows. He just doesn't want to tell the world. It's okay. They're family. They're part of the community. They should know that you had your back door explored through the Explorer size.
No? Dora the Explorer?
I mean, it's a reason.
Is that the best you had?
How did we get here?
Because we started talking about Brokeback Mountain. Like, that's the reason why we're here. Brooke went to a side story. Normally, we don't go past the spice
He
of the
told
week.
a very personal story of how he was in the clinic. And then we got to Brokeback Mountain.
One day, once we become a little bit bigger as a podcast, I'll probably tell the details of that story. But as of right now, like, I'll tell you what, the only thing I get afraid sometimes we're going to get canceled before we can get started.
Aww.
You know how it is. Today's culture, they're pussies.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. You could literally come on here and, like, what we just had the discussion about Brokeback Mountain. Next thing you know, we could be all front page saying that we hate gays, and we don't.
No,
you know what I'm
we do
saying?
not. We do not hate gays.
It's very obvious. If anybody knew us, we're the biggest advocates. Like, hey, man, do you, baby?
Yeah.
Just,
100%.
I don't want to see that part of you. But
I'm gonna be over here, you over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Eddie Murphy said it best. You remember? So I have tons of gay friends. I have a beer with my gay friends. I say, I'm gonna go play some tennis. What you gonna do? I'm gonna go suck some dick. All right, you do you.
I'm here for it.
Oh my gosh.
All right, we'll wrap it up. But guys, subscribe. Make sure you go on. You have the link QR, right? You have all the links that we put up on all the socials. Go subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on all the socials. Make sure you hit the little notification, right? You want to know when some new shit drops. Since we're able to go every single week, we'll have new clips and new material for you on every platform every single week.
Whoop, whoop.
All right? We have some new stuff in the merch store, right? We have some Father's Day stuff that you can come get, right? We'll probably put those up on the screen somewhere around where important. And yeah, be sure to go subscribe, guys. Any last words?
I have none.
Thank you guys.
At the Brokeback Mountain.
This has been an interesting pod. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. I think we had a great time.
Yeah.
Immersing to Brokeback Mountain.
Yes.
From death to Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah. We're great.
Good stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Deuces.
2 dimes and a token. You make both